Hey, it's sexuality empowerment coach Heather Elizabeth, and this week we are talking about unrequited love, and specifically our society's kind of obsession with the romanticness of unrequited love. And I want to talk about whether or not that's realistic, whether or not that's appropriate, whether or not that's a healthy choice for us in our relationships. And then I want to talk about some alternatives to that pining away for people. Savvy? So unrequited love. Pop culture loves it because it makes a really, really great trope, right? This whole like spending your life pining away or any amount of time pining away after one person and focusing all your romantic and sexual attention their way, and this feeling of spite when they, reject you, and all those, there's so many emotions in it. It makes for so many great stories. So of course this is something that romance novels and romantic comedies and TV shows and movies, of course this is something they're going to pop onto, right? Unrequited love in entertainment kind of works out one of two ways. Number one, everyone lives happily ever after, right? You actually do get the object of your affection in the end, and then you ride off into the sunset on white stallions and blah, 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 blah. Or number two, you die alone and sad, and everyone in the audience is like, oh, wow, that's so sad. And they spend lots of money on tears, and they watch the movies over and over and over again, and it generates money, and this is how things work. But that's not actually realistic or reflective of real life, right? Like none of that ever covers the slog of kind of living with that feeling of pining after someone who doesn't acknowledge you or doesn't feel the same way day after day after day, and how hurtful that can be to you or how much resentment that can cause. It doesn't, like, it never has to examine any of things, and why should it, right? It's entertainment. But the truth is, this is not a sexy quality to have, okay? This is not a great quality to have. Unrequited love kind of ties into that emotional martyrdom where you're the sacrificial person who's constantly making sacrifices and putting other people above yourself or ahead of yourself or before yourself or whatever. That's not great for a few reasons. Number one, it paints yourself as a background character in your own life, right? It makes other people the focus of your story. And maybe if you're a special kind of person who's off to serve the poor or be feeding orphans somewhere, that's a thing. But for the most people, taking the back seat in your own life is going to have you waking up someday really resentful of where you are and how much of your life has gone by without you taking an active role in it. And I think we see unrequited love kind of like come to the forefront of our lives in a couple different ways. First, the myth of purity, right? This idea that if your love lasts with one person forever and ever and ever, and you're always focusing out on that person, it's more pure than anyone else's love because it hasn't been faltered or because it's all directed in one space. Purity is kind of BS when it comes to love, when it comes to feelings, right? Our feelings are our feelings. They go all over the place. That's okay. Another aspect of this unrequited love is this idea of the nice guy or that nice friend, the person who is always going to be, and by guy, by the way, I don't actually mean identifies as male. You can have the nice guy trope be embodied by any gender, just for the record. Anyways, nice guy. It's this idea that if if you're always there for someone, that they'll eventually turn to you. But again, that breeds resentment, that breeds putting someone else at the forefront of your own life, that gives away your power. And at the end of the day, it's probably not the healthiest of, emotional choices and relationship choices and sexuality choices that you can be making. So what do you do in the meantime? Because I totally get it, right? I do. There are all sorts of times where we're feeling other people and they're not feeling us, and we've got a lot of stuff to do. I propose two things. Number one, go out and live your life. Because if this is some strange, like you are fated to be with this person and the stars have aligned and there's a prophecy written in a scroll in some dead guy's hands in a faraway land, well, okay. But you know what? You going out and living your life is not going to disrupt that. If you're truly fated to be with someone, then doing whatever you're doing in your life doesn't really matter because eventually you're going to wind up with them anyways, okay? So let's just get over that whole myth we're fated to be together. If you're really fated, it'll happen even when you live your own life. Number two, doing what you want to do with your life and going out and living it makes you more open to opportunity, right? So So number one, you get to be at the forefront of your own life again, which is fantastic. You get to do the things you want to do, study the things you want to study, travel the places you want to travel. You're taking your power back. And you might just have some really awesome experiences and potentially meet some really cool people along the way. The other thing that living your life helps with is it makes you open to opportunity. If you're spending all of your romantic focus on one person or all of your relationship focus on one person, you're going to be completely closed off to any other romantic, sexual relationship opportunities that come your way. So you're not even, giving a chance to something other than this unrequited love. So chew on that for a little bit. I haven't answered any questions in a while, so let's make next week a question video. And if you have a question that you want to ask me, and if it fits in with this month's theme of like healthy relationships and healthy sexuality and blah, blah, blah health, then I'll bump you up to the top of the queue. So feel free to leave it below or email me at heather@AuthenticSexualYou.com, and I'll talk to you next week.